I am Lisa.
And I'm Eric. Do you want to improve your English easily? If so, you're in the right place.
Okay, today we'll listen to a podcast about the role of technology in daily life.
Let's listen to it.
Welcome to our podcast, which helps you improve your English while learning about interesting topics. I'm Mark. Today, Emma and I will discuss how technology affects our daily lives. Hi, Emma. It's great to see you today.
Hi, Mark. It's nice to see you too. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. I just got a new smartphone yesterday, and I've been playing with it all morning.
Oh, that's exciting. What kind of phone did you get?
It's the latest model with a really good camera. I love taking photos, so I'm very happy with it.
That's great. Phones have changed so much, haven't they? I remember my first mobile phone. It could only make calls and send text messages.
Yes, it's amazing how technology has changed. My first phone didn't even have a camera. Now our phones are like small computers.
We use them for everything. Calls, messages, email, social media, taking photos, watching videos, and even paying for things.
Speaking of paying for things, I started using my phone to pay at stores last month. It's so convenient. I don't need to carry my wallet anymore.
I do that too. Digital payments are really useful. Do you use any banking apps?
Yes, I use my bank's app to check my account and pay bills. It saves me so much time. I don't remember the last time I actually went to a bank.
Me neither. Technology really makes life easier in many ways. What about social media? Do you use it a lot?
I use Instagram to share photos and WhatsApp to talk with friends and family. My parents live in another city, so we video call every weekend. What about you?
I use those too, and I also like the X platform to follow news. But sometimes I think I spend too much time on my phone. Do you ever feel that way?
Definitely. Sometimes I check my phone and suddenly an hour has passed. I've started to set time limits for my apps.
That's a good idea. It's important to have a balance. Technology should help us, not control our lives.
You're right. Let's talk about other technology. How has technology changed the way you work or study?
Well, I'm taking an online course right now. I can learn at my own pace and watch video lessons whenever I have time. It's perfect for my busy schedule.
That sounds convenient. I work from home 2 days a week now. I use video calls for meetings and cloud services to share files with my team.
Remote work is becoming so common. Do you prefer working from home or going to the office?
I like both for different reasons. At home, it's quiet, and I save time on commuting. But at the office, it's easier to collaborate with colleagues. What about education? Do you think technology has improved learning?
I think it has. There are so many resources available online now. I use language learning apps like Duolingo to practice my Spanish.
Those apps are great. I use YouTube tutorials when I want to learn something new, like cooking or fixing things around the house.
YouTube is amazing for learning practical skills. My nephew watches educational videos for kids, and he's learning so much.
Children today grow up with technology. It's so different from our childhood. We used to play outside more, I think.
That's true. I worry sometimes that kids don't get enough physical activity because of screens. My sister limits her children's screen time to make sure they play outside too.
That's a good approach. Balance is important for everyone, not just adults. What about entertainment? How do you use technology for fun?
I subscribe to Netflix and Spotify. I rarely watch regular TV anymore. I prefer streaming services where I can choose what to watch and when.
Same here, and music streaming is so convenient. I remember when we had to buy CDs or download individual songs.
Those days seem so long ago now. Do you play any games on your devices?
I play simple games on my phone when I'm waiting for the bus or have a few minutes free. I also enjoy more complex games on my computer on weekends. How about you?
I mostly play puzzle games on my phone. They help me relax after a busy day. My brother is really into virtual reality games. He has a special headset and everything.
VR is fascinating. I tried it once at a tech store. It felt so real, like I was actually in another world. Technology for entertainment has come a long way so far.
It really has. Technology helps us stay connected in so many ways, too. Do you use any smart home devices?
Yes, I have a smart speaker that I can ask to play music, tell me the weather, or set timers when I'm cooking. It's very helpful.
I've been thinking about getting one of those. I do have smart light bulbs that I can control with my phone. It's nice to turn them on before I get home when it's dark.
That sounds useful. What about health and fitness? Do you use any technology for that, Emma?
Yes, I have a fitness tracker that counts my steps and monitors my sleep patterns. It helps me make sure I'm getting enough exercise and rest.
I have a smartwatch that does similar things. It reminds me to stand up and move when I've been sitting too long. I also use a food tracking app to help me eat healthier.
Those reminders are useful. I use a fitness app that gives me workout ideas and tracks my progress. It keeps me motivated.
Technology can definitely help us stay healthy. I even used a meditation app when I was feeling stressed last month.
Those are helpful too. There are also apps for better sleep, drinking more water, and eating healthier. My doctor even recommended a health app to me.
It seems like there's an app for everything these days, but we should talk about some challenges too. Do you worry about privacy with all this technology, Emma?
Sometimes, yes. I try to be careful about what information I share online and use strong passwords. I also regularly update my devices for security reasons.
I'm the same. I also regularly check my privacy settings on social media. It's important to be aware of what data we're sharing and who can see it.
Definitely. And what about the environmental impact of technology? We keep buying new devices every few years.
That's a good point. I try to recycle my old devices or give them to someone who can use them. But you're right. Electronic waste is a problem we need to think about.
I read that some companies are trying to make more sustainable devices now, using recycled materials and making phones that last longer.
That's a step in the right direction. Overall, though, I think technology has made our lives better in many ways. We just need to use it wisely.
I agree completely. Technology is just a tool. It's how we use it that matters. Finding that balance is the key.
Thank you for listening to our podcast about technology in daily life.
Remember to use technology in ways that improve your life while maintaining a healthy balance.
Join us next week for another interesting topic. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Eric, what do you think about the podcast?
It was really interesting, Lisa. Technology has changed so much over the years.
I know. I liked the part where they talked about smartphones. I can't imagine life without mine.
Me too. I use mine for everything. Calls, messages, music, and even payments.
Same here. But sometimes I feel like I spend too much time on my phone.
Yeah, they mentioned setting time limits for apps. Maybe we should try that.
Definitely. Okay, let's start our podcast. What are today's words, Eric?
The first word today is convenient. Then we will continue with to commute and to collaborate. Then come a long way. And the final one is speaking of something.
Okay, let's start with the first word.
The first word is convenient.
Convenient.
Convenient is an adjective, and it describes something that is easy to use or helps save time and effort.
Right. If something is convenient, it makes your life easier.
Exactly. For example, this store is very convenient because it's near my house. That means I don't have to travel far to go shopping.
That's a great example. Another one could be, it's convenient to shop online because you don't have to leave your home.
Yes, online shopping is very convenient. It saves time and energy.
So, when something is convenient, it makes things simpler or more comfortable for you.
Yes, and we can also use convenient to talk about time. For example, what time is convenient for you to meet? That means I want to know what time is easy for you.
Oh, that's really useful for making plans. So, Eric, is there a formal way to use convenient?
Yes. In formal situations, you might say, "Please let me know a convenient time for our meeting." It sounds polite and professional.
Great tip. And in casual conversation, you could just say, "What time works for you?"
That's right, Lisa.
Okay, well, we've explained convenient pretty well. Let's move on to the next word.
The next word is to commute.
To commute.
To commute means to travel regularly between your home and workplace or school. It's something millions of people do every day.
So if I live in the suburbs and travel to the city for work each morning, I'm commuting, right?
Exactly. You might say, "I commute to work by train," or "My commute takes 45 minutes each way."
I notice you used commute as both a verb and a noun. Can you explain that?
Good observation. As a verb, to commute is the action. I commute every day. As a noun, a commute refers to the journey itself. I have a long commute, or my commute is tiring.
Are there specific phrases people use with this word?
Yes, Lisa. People often talk about their daily commute or morning commute. Someone might say they have a reverse commute if they travel away from the city while most people are traveling toward.
What about the different ways people commute?
People might commute by car, commute by train, or even commute on foot if they walk to work. A person who commutes is sometimes called a commuter.
I've heard the term supercommuter. What does that mean?
A supercommuter is someone who has an extremely long commute, often traveling between cities or even states for work. They might commute several hours each way.
So listeners, whether your journey is short or long, by car, train, or bicycle, commuting is part of many people's daily routine in English-speaking countries. Okay, well, shall we move on to the next word?
Let's do that. The next word is to collaborate.
To collaborate.
To collaborate means to work together with someone to achieve a goal.
Right. If you collaborate with others, you share ideas and work as a team.
Exactly. For example, the two companies collaborated to create a new product. That means they work together to make something new.
That's a great example. Another one could be, we collaborate on projects at school to learn better. That means students work together to complete assignments.
Yes, collaborate is often used in work and some situations.
So, Eric, can we use collaborate in formal and informal situations?
Good question. To collaborate is more common in formal or professional situations. In a business meeting, you might, "We should collaborate on this project."
And in informal situations, we usually say, work together instead. For example, let's work together on this assignment.
Exactly. Now, let's talk about grammar. Collaborate is always followed by the preposition with when talking about people. For example, she collaborated with her team on the presentation.
Oh, that's good to know. And when talking about the subject or goal of the collaboration, we usually use on. For example, they collaborated on a research project.
That's right. Also, collaborate is followed by to do something when describing the purpose. For example, the artists collaborated to create a new exhibition.
That makes it easier to use correctly. So now you know how to use to collaborate in different ways. That's all for the word to collaborate. Let's move on to the next word.
The next word is come a long way.
Come a long way.
Come a long way means to make a lot of progress or improvement over time.
If someone or something has come a long way, it means they have improved a lot compared to the past.
Exactly. For example, she has come a long way since she started learning English. That means her English has improved a lot.
That's a great example. Another one could be, technology has come a long way in the last 10 years. That means technology has advanced a lot.
Yes, this phrase is often used to talk about personal growth, skills, or even things like science and technology.
So, Eric, can we use come a long way in both formal and informal situations?
Yes, it's commonly used in both. In a formal situation, you might say, "Our company has come a long way since its founding."
And in informal conversations, you could say, "Wow, you've come a long way in your cooking skills."
That's right. Now, let's talk about grammar. Come a long way is always used in the present, perfect, or past tense. For example, he has come a long way in his career.
Oh, I see. So we don't say, "He comes a long way," right?
Yes, Lisa, it's correct. We usually say has come or had come to show progress over time.
That makes sense. Okay, we've reached the last word today. What is the last word, Eric?
The last word is speaking of something or somebody.
Speaking of something or somebody.
Speaking of is a phrase we use to change the subject to something related. It connects one topic to another smoothly.
So if we're talking about food and I suddenly say, "Speaking of food, I'm hungry," I'm changing the subject, but it's still connected to food?
Exactly. You're jumping to a new thought, but it feels natural because it's related. Let's try a few more examples. I love going to the beach. Speaking of the beach, have you planned your summer vacation? This book is so interesting. Speaking of books, did you finish your novel? I need to buy groceries. Speaking of which, do we need more?
Got it.
Now, let's look at how to use it in a sentence. Speaking of is usually followed by a noun or phrase that connects to the previous topic.
It's often used at the start of a new sentence. So I can say, "Speaking of work, I have a meeting later," and it flows naturally.
Yes, it's simple and super useful, and speaking of is informal but can be used in many situations, at work, with friends, or during casual conversations.
Oh, I probably wouldn't write it in a formal email, but can I use it when chatting with colleagues?
Exactly. It's great for spoken English and friendly messages.
Well, that's it for today's episode of Simply Explained English. We hope you found the words helpful and the explanations easy to understand.
Thanks for listening. Keep studying your English.
And stay tuned. Bye for now. I am Lisa.
And I'm Eric. Do you want to improve your English easily? If so, you're in the right place.
Okay, today we'll listen to a podcast about some golden rules nobody taught you.
Let's listen to it.
Hello and welcome to English Every Day. I'm Mark, and today we're talking about something super important for all English learners, how to communicate better.
And I'm Emma. We know many of you struggle with being understood or expressing yourselves clearly in English. Today, we'll share 5 simple hacks that will help you become a more confident speaker.
Remember, good English isn't just about knowing vocabulary and grammar. It's about how you deliver your message. So, Emma, many of our listeners tell us they know the words, but still have trouble communicating effectively. Why do you think that happens?
Well, Mark, I think there are 3 golden rules of communication that many learners forget. First, say what you mean clearly. Don't try to use fancy words just to show off.
That's so true. I've seen students use complicated words incorrectly when simpler ones would work better.
Exactly. The second rule is to check if people understand you. Don't just assume they do.
And the third?
Listen actively. Communication goes both ways. You need to understand others as well as be understood.
Those are great rules to remember. Now, let's get into our 5 practical hacks. The first one is, just keep talking, but mindfully. What does that mean?
It means using filler phrases to keep your speech flowing. Phrases like, you know, actually, or what I mean is, help you bridge gaps while you think of what to say next.
I notice many English learners freeze when they can't find the exact word they want. Is that what you mean?
Exactly. Instead of going silent, use these fillers, but be careful not to overuse them. Too many likes or you knows can make you sound nervous or unsure.
Can you give us an example of good use versus overuse?
Sure. A good use would be, the movie was, really interesting because of the plot twists. Overuse would be, the movie was actually really interesting. You know what I mean?
I see the difference. Our second hack is about rhythm and intonation. Why is this important?
Think of speech as music, Mark. If you talk too fast, people miss words. If you talk too slowly, they get bored. Finding the right rhythm keeps listeners engaged.
And intonation is about how your voice goes up and down, right?
Yes. In English, intonation can completely change meaning. Compare. You're coming? With voice rising at the end, that's a question. But you're coming, with voice falling, that's a statement.
I see. Let's try another example. I didn't say he stole the money can have different meanings depending on which word you stress.
If I say, I didn't say he stole the money, it means someone else said it. But I didn't say he stole the money suggests that someone else stole it.
That's fascinating. Our third hack is about ensuring clarity. How do we do that?
Always check if people understand you, especially in important conversations. You can say things like, am I making sense? Or, is that clear?
I hope we're on the same page, or if anything is unclear, just ask.
These phrases show you care about communication, not just about talking. They're especially important in work or school settings.
Our fourth hack is about seeking clarity from others. What if we don't understand what someone is saying to us?
Don't pretend to understand. It's perfectly okay to ask people to repeat themselves. You can say, I'm sorry, could you say that again? Or, I didn't quite catch that.
Or, could you explain that differently? These phrases are much better than nodding and pretending you understand.
Exactly. Misunderstandings can cause big problems later, especially at work or in group projects.
Our final hack is about body language. Why is this so important when we're focusing on speaking?
Because communication is only partly about words. Your facial expressions, gestures, and how you stand all affect how people receive your message.
What are some good body language tips for our listeners, Emma?
Keep an open posture. Don't cross your arms as it can make you seem closed off. Use hand gestures that match what you're saying, and always turn toward the person you're speaking with.
What about things to avoid?
Avoid fidgeting or looking at your phone while talking. It signals you're not interested, and never turn your back to someone while they're speaking to you.
I've heard about the baby pivot, turning your whole body towards someone to show you're listening.
Yes, it's such a simple thing, but it makes a huge difference in how engaged you seem.
These 5 hacks are really practical. Do you have any final advice for our listeners, Emma?
Practice these techniques in everyday conversations. Record yourself speaking to hear your rhythm and fillers. Watch English speakers on TV with the sound off to observe body language.
And remember, becoming a better communicator takes time. Be patient with yourself.
I'd also recommend finding a language partner to practice with. Many of our listeners have told us this really helps them apply these techniques in real conversations.
That's a great point, Emma. And speaking of practice, could you share a personal experience where these communication skills helped you?
Of course. When I first started teaching English, I had a student from Japan who was very quiet in class. I noticed her body language showed she was confused, even though she nodded when I asked if she understood. When I started checking for understanding in different ways and encouraging her to ask questions, her English improved dramatically in just a few weeks.
That's a wonderful example of how these techniques make a real difference. I've found that my international friends appreciate it when I speak at a moderate pace and check for understanding. It shows respect and builds trust.
Absolutely. And one more thing I'd like to add. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. Every English speaker, even native ones, makes communication errors sometimes. The important thing is to keep trying and applying these hacks.
Perfect advice. And remember, listeners, these skills develop with practice. Try focusing on one hack each week until they become natural habits.
Well, that's all for today's episode. Remember our 5 hacks. Use mindful fillers. Pay attention to rhythm and intonation. Check for understanding. Ask for clarity. And use positive body language.
These skills will not only improve your English, but make you a more effective communicator in any language. Join us next week when we'll discuss common English idioms in the workplace.
Until then, keep practicing and speaking with confidence.
Goodbye.
What do you think about the podcast, Eric?
I really like the part about using filler phrases. And actually, that was cool.
Same here. And the intonation part was interesting. I didn't know how much it changes meaning.
Right? You're coming versus you're coming. Such a big difference. I also liked when Emma said, don't pretend to understand. That's something I need to remember.
Yeah, me too. Okay, let's start our podcast. What are the words today, Eric?
The first word today is fancy. Then we will continue with moderate and to engage. Then bridge the gap. And the final one is to be on the same page.
Okay, let's start with the first word.
The first word is fancy.
Fancy.
Fancy is such a fun word, and it has more than one use. Let's start with the most common one. When we say something is fancy, we usually mean it looks expensive, stylish, or very nice.
Like when someone wears a sparkling dress to a party. Wow, you look fancy tonight.
Exactly. Or when you go to a restaurant with soft lighting, waiters in suits, and 5 forks on the table. That's a fancy place.
Got it. Now, I've also heard fancy used as a verb, especially in British shows. Like, do you fancy a coffee?
Yes. Great point. In British English, fancy as a verb means you want something or feel like doing something. So, do you fancy a coffee just means, do you want a coffee?
And you can say things like, I fancy watching a movie tonight, right?
Exactly. And that brings us to a very important grammar tip. When you use fancy as a verb, it's followed either by a noun or by a verb in the ing form. So you say, fancy a movie or fancy going out, but not fancy to go out. That would sound strange to native speakers.
So it's, do you fancy dancing? Not, do you fancy to dance?
Yep, fancy as a verb isn't common in American English, but it's still great to know, especially if you watch British TV or chat with British friends.
So, to wrap up, fancy can describe something elegant or expensive, and it can also mean want or like something, especially in British English. And when it's a verb, remember, use a noun or the ing form after it. Okay, well, shall we move on to the next word?
Let's do that. The next word is moderate.
Moderate.
Moderate is an adjective that means something that is not too much and not too little. It's in the middle.
Like when the weather is not hot and not cold, just nice?
Perfect example. You can say, we had moderate weather during our trip. That means the weather was comfortable, not extreme in any way.
So, moderate is a nice word to describe something that's average or gentle.
Yes. Let's try a few more examples. She has a moderate level of experience. That means I'm not a beginner, but not an expert either. He eats a moderate amount of sugar, so he doesn't eat too much, just a healthy amount.
So it's often used to talk about amounts or intensity, right?
Right. Moderate speed, moderate noise, moderate exercise. These all suggest something is under control, in balance. You can also say, the prices are moderate, or the pain was moderate.
It sounds like a useful word when you don't want to exaggerate, when you just want to keep things neutral.
Exactly. If something isn't strong or weak, big or small, it's moderate. A great word when you want to describe balance.
Love it. So just to sum up, moderate as an adjective means something that's in the middle, not extreme. And we use it before nouns or after be.
Perfectly said.
Okay, well, we've explained the word moderate pretty well. Let's move on to the next word.
The next word is to engage.
To engage.
Yep, and it's a really useful one. At this level, we'll focus on one of the most common meanings. To engage means to take part in something or to become involved.
So, like joining an activity or being part of something?
Exactly. For example, you can say, the students engaged in a group project. That means they worked together. They were active in the project.
Oh, I see. So engage is similar to participate in that sentence.
Right. You could also say, he doesn't engage in small talk. That means he doesn't take part in casual, light conversation.
So is there a preposition we always use after it?
Yes, great question. When we use engage in this meaning, we usually follow it with the preposition in. Like engage in a conversation or engage in activities.
Got it. So the structure is usually someone engages in something.
Exactly. And it's often used in more formal or polite situations, like in school, work, or news. In casual talk, people might just say join or take part, but engage sounds a bit more formal or serious.
Is it always about groups, or can I use it when I'm doing something alone?
Good point. You can use it for solo activities too, like she engaged in deep thinking.
Oh, I like that. So it's not just about joining people, but also about putting energy and attention into something.
Exactly. It shows interest, focus, and being active, not passive.
Let's review. To engage means to get involved, to take part, and we often say engage in something. And it's a bit more formal than joining or participating.
Perfect summary, Lisa.
Okay, well, let's move on to the next word.
The next word is bridge the gap.
Bridge the gap. Ooh, I love this one. It's not about real bridges, by the way.
Right? Bridge the gap is an idiom. It means to connect two things that are different or to make the difference between them smaller. It's often used when two groups don't understand each other or when there's a space between ideas, generations, or cultures.
So, for example, this program helps bridge the gap between young people and the elderly.
Yep, that means the program helps them understand each other, maybe spend time together or learn from each other.
Nice. Another one. The free classes are trying to bridge the gap between rich and poor students.
Great example. It means the classes give both groups more equal chances.
So we use it when something is missing or when two sides are far apart, socially, emotionally, or even in skills.
That's right, Lisa.
And it's usually used in more formal or thoughtful conversation, right?
Yes, it sounds a bit more serious. You'll hear it in education, business, or social topics. Not really in casual daily talk like, hey, let's bridge the gap and go to lunch. That would sound funny.
Ha ha ha, yeah, no one says that. So, quick review. To bridge the gap means to make two sides come closer, to connect them, or to reduce a difference.
And we often use it with groups of people, ideas, cultures, generations, or knowledge levels.
All right, that's all for the word bridge the gap. So, let's move on to the last word. What is the last word, Eric?
The last word is to be on the same page.
To be on the same page. This one is very common in everyday English. So, let's get into it. What does to be on the same page mean, Eric?
To be on the same page is an idiom that means that two or more people understand something the same way or agree about what's happening. For example, let's talk before the meeting to make sure we're on the same page. That means let's check if we agree and understand things the same way.
Or, I don't think we're on the same page about the budget. So maybe one person wants to spend more and the other wants to save. There's a difference. It's a great phrase to use when working in a team, in meetings, or even in relationships.
Absolutely. It's useful in both professional and personal situations. At work, before we start the project, are we all on the same page? At home, we need to be on the same page about the kids' bedtime.
That one sounds real.
Yeah, very real-life example.
So, to sum up, to be on the same page means to understand or agree with someone. We use it to show we're thinking in the same way.
It's clear, friendly, and super useful.
All right, that's all for today. We hope we're on the same page about what this phrase means now. We hope you found the words helpful and the explanations easy to understand.
Thanks for listening. Keep studying your English.
And stay tuned. Bye for now.